Instead of expiring. Yeah.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the November 28th, 2023 Methacton School District Board of Directors meeting to order. I have someone helping me with a gavel. And next is the pledge, Dr. Zerby.
Hi, my name is Peyton Cook. I'm a student at Skyview Upper Elementary School. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, staff and parents of Methacton. My name is Deanna Rotella, and I'm in 6th grade, and tonight I'll be giving a speech about why I love my school, Skyview Upper Elementary. My first reason is Skyview offers many opportunities to all students. Clubs, for example, give Skyview students the opportunity to meet new people, learn new things, and have fun. Some of Skyview's favorites are Student Council, Blast, Reading Olympics, Art Club, and many, many more. My second reason is the hard work Skyview staff puts into making sure students have fun. Pep rallies, fun days, spirit weeks, and field trips are just a few events teachers plan to make sure students have fun, along with special trips for kids participating in band, chorus, and orchestra. My third reason is that Skyview has always offered extra help to the students who need it. Math club and reading club and other times for students to see teachers for help are always available. Lastly, the support the staff gives to the students, always making students feel welcome and safe. Thank you, Methacton, for giving me this opportunity, and thank you all for listening.
I now ask that Peyton Cook and Deanna Rotella join Madam Alston and I out front to get your junior board member certificates. And will Principal Barrico please join us up here as well.
All right, moving on with the agenda, the public is hereby advised of the audio and video recording of this meeting for the purposes of rebroadcasting. And we have an executive session announcement. The board met in an executive session immediately prior to tonight's meeting here at Arcola Intermediate School for the purpose of discussing a matter of personnel involving an administrative employee of the district as well as a confidential student matter. And by way of attendance, all school board members are here. And now it's time for recognition of guests and scheduled speakers. Dr. Zerby.
Thank you, Madam President. This evening, I have Principal Nicole Barrico here with us to help us continue with the celebration in the spirit of Methacton while we present to Skyview Upper Elementary School the Spirit of Methacton Awards. Madam President, if you want to join me up front.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Zerby. It is a pleasure to be here tonight to recognize the outstanding staff and students at Skyview. First, we would like to recognize Mrs. Cynthia Kim, who has been a dedicated teacher to the Methacton School District since 2003. Mrs. Kim's positivity radiates to her students as well as their families. She works to create engaging lessons and supports each student in any area that they may need. In addition, Mrs. Kim excels in building meaningful relationships with her students that last beyond Skyview. She is kind, caring, and a positive asset to the Skyview community. Thank you, Mrs. Kim. Next, we would like to recognize Mrs. Beth Hibbert. Mrs. Hibbert is committed to the learning and growing of all Skyview students. She begins her day with ensuring our students are safe at breakfast and that they get what they need. She greets each student by name and with a smile and helps wherever it may be needed. Throughout her day, Mrs. Hibbert works patiently with students to help reinforce skills and understand the content of the lesson in a deeper way. Mrs. Hibbert is always calm, kind, and committed to student growth. In addition, she is committed to improving our school climate by running our Secret Pals program. Finally, Mrs. Hibbert is a trusted employee who is willing to lend a hand wherever needed and asked. Mrs. Hibbert has been serving the Methacton School District since 2001. Next, we would like to recognize Raju Chakana. Raju is a student who demonstrates positivity, kindness, and leadership qualities every day. Raju is a student who does the right thing even when no one is looking. Aside from his hard work ethic, he is kind to all students and goes out of his way to make others feel welcome. Raju is a wonderful 6th grade student leader. Thank you, Raju. And finally, Skyview is proud to recognize Mr. Amit Rajaram. Mr. Amit Rajaram continues to volunteer his time to help in our lunch duty. He is always kind and positive and willing to help students out in the cafeteria with whatever they need. We are extremely grateful for his time and dedication to our school community and for serving in the Skyview lunches.
Madam President, if it's okay, I'd like to make one other quick announcement before Principal Baracle leaves here this evening. It gives us great honor while we recognize the awesome accomplishments of Mr. Regina, or Dr. Regina, at our last meeting. It gives me great pleasure to also recognize Dr. Baracle here this evening for her accomplishments. Thank you, Dr. Baracle.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, we have School Board Director recognition, and I'd like to ask Ms. Kelly to take to the podium and ask Madam President to join me out front.
Good evening, and thank you, Dr. Zerbe and Madam President. It is my honor to offer a few remarks in recognition of 3 of our sitting board members. Tonight is the final meeting for Ms. Reese, Mr. McGinnis, and Mr. Rookstool as members of the Methacton Board of School Directors. Ms. Reese began her service to the district in December 2015. Mr. McGinnis began his service to the district in December 2019, and Mr. Rookstool began his service to the district in March of 2022. Thank you all for your service to this community and all you've done to support the students, staff, and families of the Methacton School District. At this time, would everyone please join me in a round of applause for Ms. Reese, Mr. McGinnis, and Mr. Rookstool. Okay. Tonight, with the help of our board president and Dr. Zerbe, we'd like to present Ms. Reese, Mr. McGinnis, and Mr. Rookstool with plaques that read, "With thanks for your dedicated service, Methacton Board of School Directors," and it includes their respective dates of service. Congratulations.
That ends our guests and scheduled speakers for this evening.
All right, thank you, Dr. Zerbe, and I just want to follow and say, on behalf of the board, thank you, Ms. Reese, Mr. Rookstool, Mr. McGinnis, for everything you've done, given of your time and effort to the community, to the students, to the staff, everything you've done for this district. It's most appreciated. All right, moving on with the agenda. We have reports. The committee reports are attached, and next up is the DEI report from Ms. Washington. Thank you.
Good evening. In the month of October, our attention turned to the next phase of professional development for our staff on social emotional learning and trauma-informed care. And this ongoing initiative aims to empower our educators to further enhance the ability to cultivate a sense of belonging within their classrooms. I'm excited to share insights into the past SEL training day 2 for both of our K4 and 5-8 cohorts. This session concentrated on facilitation skill building, assessing their classroom communities that have already been established, and the emphasis was on deepening knowledge and skills in facilitation and processing activities. The objective was to explore the why and how of the integration and implement specific strategies to elicit full engagement from our students. And our engagement with student voices remains a cornerstone of our approach. We recently convened with small groups of students at both Arcola and the high school to gather input on setting the agenda for our next Student Voice Days in December. Student Voice Days provide a platform for our students to delve into positive school culture, leadership, and share valuable feedback with school leaders, contributing to our ongoing efforts to build a positive school climate. The most recent professional development day at the high school was a resounding success with David Burton from Life Seeds LLC, who led the entire high school staff in a hands-on half-day program. This immersive experience was designed to enhance relationships and create a stronger sense of community among the staff at Methacton High School. The activities were not only fun, challenging, and rewarding, but they also facilitated laughter, critical thinking, and reflection. As we move forward, our commitment to building a positive and inclusive school environment at Methacton remains unwavering, and I extend my gratitude to everyone involved for their dedication and support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next reports we have are MCIU and North Monco Tech. Ms. Reese, do you have a report for IU?
I'm so glad I got to follow Miss Washington. Miss Washington, I just wanted to thank you for your efforts and your presentation. The position we created in hiring you is one of the top 5 highlights of my 8 years in this district. And it is my sincere hope that board members, future board members like Miss Chanda, Miss Thiel, and Miss Purdue, who really, have a handle on DEI initiatives, continue the hard work we've done. Because the July 2021 meeting was probably the most horrific night of my 8 years. And it is my goal that Methacton keep working towards DEI initiatives. All that you've done so far has been fantastic, and I appreciate your work as well as Dr. Regina and Dr. Engstad's work with that. As far as the IU, we met on November 15th. It was the typical board, typical business occurred. I did want to let the person, whoever takes over my role there, know that you're probably going to be hearing about possible new healthcare for the staff at the IU. And there is a virtual member orientation on December 13th, if anyone wants to mark their calendars just in case. And I wanted to also plug next November, the casino night. Thank my community members that came with me. It was a wonderful night. We raised a lot of money to help children go to camp. And the next meeting for the IU, for whoever takes my spot, is January 24th. So at 6:45. I will let Ms. Alston do the North Monco.
Thank you, Ms. Reese. Yes, we met, North Monco Tech, the Joint Operating Committee, met virtually on Monday, November 20th. We had a full agenda. The director's report discussed a skills conference that took place at the Kalahari Resorts, where students created a business plan and honed their business skills. And that leadership conference has been recalled as a highlight by many alumni. We also were made aware of the induction for the National Technical Honor Society to take place next month. There has been a partnership entered with Peterbilt to allow diesel instruction to integrate specialized equipment in the program. Due to constant need for assessing programs and how to make more space for the much coveted health sciences program, there was a refurbishment done, which did add 30 seats to the current space and will allow more students to enter the program. And we did approve a 4-year collective bargaining agreement with the staff, and that agreement had already been ratified by the Education Association. And finally, we are all looking forward to attending the North Monco Tech Joint Operating Committee holiday dinner, and the theme will be Home for the Holidays, and that will take place on December 18th. And I did also want to acknowledge Ms. Reese's many contributions to the Joint Operating Committee for North Monco Tech. I know that was something that you really enjoyed, and we're really going to miss having you there.
I will just add, my 8 years at North Monco was amazing, and I just hired today a North Monco grad to restore my banister at my home. So I'll fill everybody in.
Thank you. Next, we have a report from Student Board Representatives Sol Martin and Leah Zhang.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Leah Zhang. To start off, on Tuesday, November 7th, many high school seniors and juniors spent their day off as Montgomery County poll workers at local precincts. The Medicine and Science Club hosted its annual coffee house event on November 8th to begin fundraising for the MDDS Foundation, a nonprofit organization regarding the neurological disorder MDDS. Medicine and Science students partnered with the Environmental Science Club and sold science-themed snacks and coffee, raising a total of $175. Minithon had its annual pizza fundraiser kit, partnered with the Collegeville Italian Bakery, selling each pizza kit for $15. The pizza kits were distributed on November 21st. The Warrior Marching Band took 4th place in the Cavalcade of Bands Liberty A State Championship on Saturday, November 4th. The Color Guard and percussion teams earned 2nd place overall. On Tuesday, November 14th, indoor percussion and color guard kicked off the indoor seasons. Chemistry Olympiad had its first ever meeting on Tuesday, November 14th. This new club will prepare students for regional and national chemistry Olympiad competitions with guest lecturers by chemistry professionals. Finally, our high school theater company performed Midsummer's Night Dream from the 16th to the 18th after school. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Sol Martin. To begin with sports, our girls volleyball team made it to PAX but lost in the semi, also making it to districts but losing in the second round. Girls field hockey made it to states, just losing in overtime, but our team was strong, standing undefeated throughout the season. In cross country, senior Molly Thomas went to states, placing 181st place out of 355 contestants. Freshman Brock Yoder also went to states, placing 20th out of 239 contestants. Brock also broke the school record and the Pennsylvania freshman 5K record, making him the fastest freshman in PA ever. Some winter sports that are about to start or have started include basketball, cheerleading, diving, indoor track, swimming, unified, and wrestling. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Next, we have a report from the Methacton Education Foundation. Ms. Pergolini.
Hi, everyone. The Methacton Education Foundation has had a busy month. First, we want to thank everyone who attended our 4th annual Apex Awards on November 16th. This year, we held it at the John J. Audubon Center and had over 200 people celebrate Methacton. The community gathered together and we honored some amazing people, including educators like Dr. Susan Angstead, Barbie Griffith, Rosemary Miller, our community advocates David Smeeney and Susan Edgren, our alumni Bill Kovaleski, and our Legacy Award went to Ida Jane and John Heiser. It was a memorable evening, so thank you to all our donors, sponsors, and attendees. Today is Giving Tuesday, and we thank all those who contributed and used matching gifts. For program grants, all grants will be approved at our next MEF board meeting, and all those who requested funds will be notified in December, and the spring grant cycle will open in January. And lastly, we ask you all to save the date for March 17th, 2024 for the 2nd annual dodgeball tournament at the high school. It'll be another great day. That's it.
Thank you so much. Next, we have communications. Ms. Kelly.
Thank you and good evening again. Earlier this month, we announced the launch of the all-new Methacton Warriors Spirit Shop, a go-to destination for official Warriors gear and merchandise. The online Spirit Shop is one of many ways we are working together as one Methacton to promote belonging, community, and school pride. Visit methacton.org/MSD Spirit Shop to discover a range of high-quality apparel and accessories designed for this community of warriors. On November 30th, this Thursday, we are hosting a special grand reopening of the Malin Planetarium for the community. It'll be fun for the whole family. It'll be a ribbon cutting, a public walkthrough, space-themed activities, and planetarium shows. The event runs from 6 p.m. to 8:30. And the holiday season is upon us, which means our Methacton schools begin a busy season of showcasing the arts. Next month, many of our schools will be hosting their winter concerts, so please check the district calendar for specific dates and times. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly. And next, we have the superintendent's report. Dr. Zerbe.
There's no report this evening.
Okay. Now it's time for public comment on board action items, an opportunity for residents to comment on matters that are to be decided upon as outlined on the agenda. The board asks that you keep your comments to 3 minutes or less, and we may choose to respond to matters following the conclusion of the comments on board action items. Is there any public comment on board action items this evening?
Good evening. John Andrews, Lower Providence. I speak again on the disclosure of interest rates on parked Methacton cash at various banks, as detailed on Treasurer's reports. The latest Treasurer's report lacked that usual data this month, as I first reported at the finance meeting. Directors made a request to Mr. Bricker to fix that on November 15th. A week ago at courtesy of the floor, I again noted no action on a fix per the treasurer's report posted as an attachment for that work session. Again, Mr. Winters, chair of the finance committee, requested Mr. Bricker to fix that by the add of interest rates. As of late this afternoon, the treasury's report still lacks interest rates. I demand that the treasurer's report be tabled until we can see it corrected. The treasurer is not present at this vote meeting. Board control of the district must be absolute and not impacted by non-compliance with its requests. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment on board action items this evening? All right, seeing none. We'll move on to board meeting minutes approval. May I have a motion to approve the October 17th, 2023 work session and October 24th, 2023 regular meeting minutes as attached? Mr. McGinnis, may I have a second? Ms. Graff? Any questions or comments about that? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Carries 9-0. Thank you. Next, we'll move on to fiscal items. Mr. Bricker.
Thank you, Madam President. Tonight for your approval are 5 fiscal items with no changes from the work session.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve all fiscal items as presented? Ms. Cancro, may I have a second? Mr. Ruxtoll? Any questions or comments about fiscal items? Mr. Winters?
As for the comment related to the board action items, we did mention that the rates are listed in the minutes, and I don't think I was clear to say that he needed to fix it for the month of November, but I believe it's pretty clear to Mr. Bricker that moving forward, we will see the interest rates on the Treasury bill, so I see no reason to delay voting on it.
Any other comments from board members? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Carries 9-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, personnel, Dr. Sergini.
Thank you, Madam President, and good evening. For the consideration of the board this month, there are the personnel items as presented at the work session last week, with the addition of 2 supplemental contracts for the sponsorship of Philanthropy Club at Arcola, and the addition of the name of the 7th grade basketball coach under item 10M11. Thank you.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve all personnel items as presented? Ms. Cleary? And may I have a second? Ms. Purdue? Any questions or comments on personnel items? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? That carries 9-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have no items for curriculum and programs this month. Next is policy. Dr. Regina.
Thank you, Madam President. For this evening, there are no changes to the second reads that are being voted on. Of note, really 304 and 304.1 were the ones that received the most work, and that's just aligning a lot of the board votes to make sure that those are aligned properly. All others are the same. Thank you.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve all policies as presented for second read? Ms. Cleary, and may I have a second? Ms. Purdue, any questions or comments on policy? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? That carries 9-0. Thank you. And next we have other, Dr. Zerbe.
Thank you, Madam President. Listed on the agenda this evening, in addition to what we had presented at the work session, we have the We have two separation agreements under 13E. Approve the agreement between the district and Dr. Judy Gallagher Landis, which includes a retirement date of January 31st, 2024. And item 13F, which is student settlement agreement. Approve the settlement agreement and release for student 250953 with special language of the terms of the settlement agreement drafted by the district solicitor.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve all items listed under other? Ms. Cleary, may I have a second? Ms. Purdue? Any questions or comments on items listed under other? Seeing none. Oh, sorry, Mr. Winters.
I just want to thank Dr. Landis for her service at Facton. She really stepped up during COVID to help in an area we need related to the PCs and supporting and getting those in the hands of students as quickly as possible. So she's done many things along her career, but I'd like to thank Dr. Landis for her service.
I agree. Thank you, Mr. Winters. Any other questions or comments? Ms. Purdue?
In reference to Dr. Landis, also, I think she helped us when we started some of the work in reference to DEI. She stepped in. I know it was a very difficult time for her just because there was a lot of pushback from the certain members of the community. So I do want to thank her for stepping in and helping us out to get our work started in reference to it.
Thank you, Ms. Purdue. Anything else? Anyone else? All right, seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? That carries 9-0. Thank you. All right, we are up to dates for board members' calendars. The next meeting is on Monday, December 4th, 2023 for the reorganization, followed by a regular board meeting at 7 p.m. here. And now it is time for old and new business. Is there any old or new business? Ms. Purdue.
I do just want to say thank you to Ms. Reese, Mr. McGinnis, and Mr. Rookstool for their time and service to Methacton School District. I know it's not hard. It required a lot of time and commitment on your part, and I do want to thank you for your service to Methacton and also advocating effortlessly for public education. We'll miss you on the board, so thank you.
Yes, we all second that. Yes, thank you. Anyone else? Old, new business? Okay. Mr. Winters?
Yeah, and I'll pile on there. I appreciate all the effort, the student focused of all three of the board members to have that as their number one and support public education with that view. None of them have wavered from that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Ms. Cancro?
I also just want to say thank you. I feel like it's been a pleasure to work with all three of you, and your dedication has been phenomenal. I've enjoyed the memories of sorting food and potatoes and lots of pasta, but I thank you all. I look forward to seeing you as part of the community and enjoy the family time that you'll have going forward.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Now it's time for courtesy of the floor, an opportunity for residents to make comments on matters that are or may be before the board. The board asks that you keep your comments to 3 minutes or less, and the board of directors may choose to respond to matters following the conclusion of the comments.
Jim Malik, Worcester. At the last meeting, Dr. Zerbe had a lot to say about transparency and your committee to build a new school and how it couldn't be any more transparent. And, you know, really you should stay quiet because I'm up here because of your comments, which are totally wrong. How about this for transparency? Help me out on this. I introduced myself in our subcommittee, and after 38 seconds, I got cut off. And Mr. Bricker used the fact that you gave him specific instructions regarding that. So let's have some transparency and tell me what your instructions were to Mr. Bricker regarding me. Let's be transparent. Let me hear all this transparency. There was a presentation made that night or that day about the debt service that we had never seen before. Put it up on the screen. I tried to take a picture of it. Again, I was forbidden to do so with the same caveat. You gave instructions regarding that, regarding me. You want to tell me what those instructions were? To single out a member of the public who's asking questions, who doesn't really agree with what you're doing? Can you tell us? How about this for transparency? I ask you in our subcommittee about a new high school. You look at me like I got two heads. Don't know anything about a high school. Mr. Andrews knows all about the high school because KCBA architects told their group about it and where it was going to be built. Are you going to come clean with some transparency on your plan to build a new high school? What about it? How about Ms. Drummond and her comment about, hey, we don't care how much it's going to cost, we're going to pass it. I find that out not through transparency, but through the grapevine. You know, all this transparency, $1 million of taxpayer money to your lawyers to prevent us from getting information. That's not transparency. How about some transparency on how these groups were made up, right? 70% of people don't have kids in the district, but almost 100% of your groups were self-interested people with kids in the district, teachers, administrators, and board members. How about giving us some transparency on the makeup of your biased group? So let's have some transparency.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak on courtesy of the floor this evening?
Good evening, Amy Smith, Worcester Township. I just wanted to take a couple minutes to say thank you to the board, all 9 of you, for what you do and how you do it. It's not an easy thing to take a volunteer position and put so much time and energy into it. So I want to say thank you, and I want to acknowledge, as long as I've been in the district, which I guess is since 2010, it wasn't until 2015 that I really started to pay attention to what was happening in the school district, and a lot of the faces across the board here are the reason why. And it starts with Ms. Reese. Thank you for all of the time and energy you've put into everything you've done here for all of the students. And I especially want to highlight your advocacy for teachers and also for students, that all students be included, and that we look at them not only as students, but also as members of the community and as individuals that deserve the same amount of respect and inclusion in the classroom. So I appreciate that. And Mr. McGinnis, I want to highlight and thank you for making our sports programs better, because I think in the 4 years you've been here, they have become better. And I think that your advocacy for unified sports made a huge impact on this community, and part of the success of that program is because of things that you've done and said. So I personally want to thank you for that. And Mr. Rookskool, I want to thank you for stepping up and submitting your name when there was an opening. That's not an easy thing to do, to be interviewed by a full board and a room full of strangers. So anyway, I just wanted to take a minute as a member of the public that pays attention to the meetings, whether I can be in the seats or I'm watching from home. What you do matters for so many parents, and I'm not speaking for anybody but myself, but I have 4 kids. 3 of them are still in the district, and I can say that the contributions of the board have made a personal impact for my family, and I think that you deserve special recognition for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else to speak for courtesy of the floor this evening?
Good evening, Michael Ryan, Lower Providence. It's been a while. First, I'd just like to say thank you to the three board members that tonight will be their last meeting. Mr. McGinnis, Mr. Rookstool, and especially Ms. Reese, my running mate from 8 years ago. For those that don't know, I mean, this job requires so much work, so much commitment, so much dedication, and so much self-sacrifice of their own time, their family's time, missing birthdays, missing anniversaries and those things. And Ms. Reese, you've been amazing over these 8 years. And one of the things I'm most proud of is the fact that you've always been willing to keep an open mind. You may have an opinion in the beginning, but you're willing to listen to other people, hear them out, and make your decision based off of what's best for the community. So thank you. To the new board, I know there's some new members that are sitting behind me in the audience. Congratulations on the election. Best wishes for that. But I will end on a more serious note. A request, maybe I implore the new board, moving forward, let's make bullying in Methacton the #1 priority moving forward. I think that that's something that, we've been divided as a community over a lot of things. I think bullying is one thing we can all rally behind, that it needs to come to an end. And I know that this isn't Methacton specific. It happens everywhere, but maybe for once we can lead the charge, do everything possible in our power to put an end to the bullying in Methacton. As a board member, I know your job is to put the policies out there, right? We have policies on bullying. We have policies on discrimination. We have policies on harassment, but it becomes more than just that. You can't just have the policies there and not have an administration and the people who are working for you in this district following through for what's best for the students in Methacton. Dr. Zerbe, I had said this to you before. It used to be at the bottom of all of your emails where it was a little logo and it said, ensure an exceptional education for all MSD. And I mentioned that to Dr. Zerbe because it doesn't say for some, it doesn't say for the majority, but it says for every single student out there. And to expect, especially like test scores and things like that, to get better, I don't know how we can expect our students who are struggling, who don't feel safe, to then turn around and succeed on a daily basis in their education. So I implore you, please make that the #1 thing going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else for courtesy of the floor this evening?
Kim Aubrey Larson, East Lower Providence. In the years I've attended board meetings, I have never seen anyone more dedicated to public education than Andrea Reese. When we ran together for the first time in 2015, I don't think either of us, one of us imagined the challenges we would face, the sacrifices we would make, and the relationships that would forever be changed. When we sat together at the board table, we didn't always agree on the what or the how, but we always agreed on the why. And this is why I'm so grateful to now have you as a friend. So many people have all the courage in the world when they stand at this podium, but then lose their voice when they take a seat in the spotlight at that table. But not you. Your passion, your heart, your tenacity. I don't know that enough people in Methacton appreciate how fortunate they were to have you fighting the good fight for them over the last 8 years. The events and actions of others have shown us people's true character, often for the worse, but sometimes for the better. Maya Angelou said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. I know we often think of this in dealing with relationships that aren't worth keeping, but on the flip side, you have shown me since day one, you are a true advocate, a passionate educator, and a fiercely loyal friend. As a parent, as a former board member, as a member of this community, and most importantly, as a friend, thank you for all that you have selflessly done for us over these 8 years. May your service be an example for others to model.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hi, good evening. Katie Theo, Lower Providence. I'll be really brief. I do just want to say, Mr. McGinnis, Mr. Rookstool, Ms. Reese, thank you from the bottom of my heart as a parent and as a community member for all the work that you've done for our district. My children have benefited. Thank you so much. It's not an easy job, but it is vitally important for our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right. Any final comments from board members? Dr. Zerby?
Yeah, I think it's worthy of following up on a comment from a member of the public. It's quite clear that the comments that were made are counterproductive to a transparent effort to include the community. It's no question that we had provided all the documents that an individual at the podium spoke about in paper format in a Dropbox for them to see and to retrieve and to look at and to admire and to take their own photographs of. So they can do that to their heart's content. It's available to them. It's still available to them. It was available to them prior to the meetings. It was available to them during the meeting, and it's available to them after the meeting. In terms of the direction, certainly, if you think that as superintendent, as the chief executive officer of a school district, that I don't try to anticipate what we can and can't do with respects to whether we need to renovate or to build a school, you have another thought coming. We're not blindly going into a process whereby I'm leading a community down a path that could potentially take one path, one route or another, and not know that either route could be achievable. Based on the needs and the desires and the aspirations of our community. So with that said, yeah, this district has an opportunity to renovate the Methacton High School campus. It also has an opportunity to consider a potential new construction on the Methacton High School campus. There should be no question about that. We can't be talking about those things with the assumption that it couldn't be possible. So I don't know how else to explain that. And then lastly, in terms of the formation of the committee, we've done extensive advertisement out to the community. People signed up for those committees. Those individuals, there were probably 10 to 15 people that I had to move in some of the committees because I had to balance out the committees. We had some with, 5 people in them, and we had some with 50 people in them, and I had to balance some of that out. But generally speaking, a majority of those people that signed up for the committee that they signed up for were on that committee. I don't know how else to say it. Were they parents? Yeah. Were they staff members? Yeah. Were they students? Yeah. But this is a start of a process. Hopefully, that as we continue and we present the update on those recommendations from the Methacton High School Campus Planning Committee in February at the work session, we will encourage other members of the community through a campaign, with a postcard campaign, to tell them about that presentation that we'll be doing. And we'll make sure that we notify as many other individuals in our school community about what we are talking about, because it is important for all of us to be aware. So with that said, that's my response to the gentleman at the podium.
Thank you. Any other comments from board members? I see someone's waiting to make a motion to adjourn. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
May I have a second? Mr. Rookstool. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. This meeting is adjourned.